(1966 to 67) was a transition season for American television. Westerns that had dominated the airwaves for 15 years were finally dying off. The British invasion was peaking. Color TV had become standard. The Beatles had released Revolver. Vietnam had become an actual war on the evening news, and ABC, the perpetual third-place network, was getting absolutely flattened by CBS and NBC's hit factories. The network needed a hit. The network swung over a dozen times at the plate that fall. The network missed almost every single time. Of the bottom 10 lowest-rated canceled shows of the 1966 to 67 season, 8 came from ABC. We're counting down all 10 of them today. Stick around through the back half. This is the only countdown in TV history with 2 future kung fu legends in it. One at number 3, one at number 1. Number 10, Jericho, CBS. CBS thought they had the next man from U.N.C.L.E. They got Jericho instead. Jericho premiered on CBS on September 15, 1966, Thursday nights at 7:30 p.m. The premise: a 3-man Allied intelligence team working sabotage and counterintelligence behind Nazi lines. During World War II, the team's codename was Jericho. Don Franks played the American Captain Franklin Shepard from Army Intelligence. John Layton, a real British pop star who had the #1 UK hit in 1961 with Johnny Remember Me, played British Royal Navy Lieutenant Nicholas Gage. Italian actor Marino Massi played French Air Force Lieutenant Jean-Gaston André. The show was created by Richard Levinson and William Link, the same writing team who would later create Columbo. Executive producer Norman Felton had previously produced The Man from U.N.C.L.E. and Dr. Kildare. Theme song by Jerry Goldsmith. Additional music by Lalo Schifrin. The pedigree was elite. The audience did not show up. CBS had a choice between renewing Jericho or renewing the new Mission Impossible for a second season. They picked Mission Impossible. 16 episodes of Jericho aired. The series ended January 19, 1967. Mission Impossible ran 7 seasons and won 4 Emmys for Best Drama. The Rounders, ABC. In 1965, MGM released a Western comedy called The Rounders, starring Glenn Ford and Henry Fonda as 2 aging cowboys trying to break a mean horse and chase women in small-town Arizona. The film made money. ABC and MGM looked at each other and decided that this was a TV show. The Rounders premiered on ABC on September 6, 1966, Tuesday nights as a half-hour Western sitcom. The setting was relocated to Texas. Glenn Ford and Henry Fonda were nowhere near it. ABC cast Ron Hayes as cowhand Ben Jones and Patrick Wayne, son of John Wayne, as cowhand Howdy Lewis. The 2 work on the fictitious JL Ranch owned by Shady Jim Ed Love, played by Chill Wills, who at least had the courtesy to reprise his role from the 1965 film. The cast was deep. Strother Martin appeared as Cousin Fletch. Jay Silverheels, formerly Tonto on The Lone Ranger, guest starred. Zaza Gabor showed up. Andy Devine showed up. The series finale, titled What Elephants, involves Ben and Howdy trying to hide an actual elephant in plain sight. ABC pulled the plug on January 3, 1967, after 17 episodes. The Western era was ending. The Rounders did not survive it. The Pruitts of Southampton, ABC.
How'd you do, how'd you do, how'd you do, my dear? What a lovely surprise, nice to see you here.
Phyllis Diller was, in 1966, one of the most famous stand-up comedians in America. ABC looked up at this and asked the obvious question: what if Phyllis Diller, but a sitcom? The Pruitts of Southampton premiered on ABC on September 6, 1966, Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. The premise: Phyllis Diller plays Phyllis Pruitt, the widowed matriarch of a fabulously wealthy Long Island society family. In the pilot, an IRS agent arrives at her party to inform her that the Pruitts secretly owe the government $10 million. The government decides to let the Pruitts continue living in their mansion and pretend to be rich, because if the truth got out, it would trigger a stock market crash. Diller spends every episode scheming to raise money to pay off the IRS. The show was based on the 1954 Patrick Dennis novel House Party. The cast included Gypsy Rose Lee, Richard Deacon from The Dick Van Dyke Show, John Astin from The Addams Family, and Lisa Loring, who played Wednesday Addams on The Addams Family. By January 1967, the show was so broken that ABC retitled it The Phyllis Diller Show and turned the mansion into a boarding house. The retool did not help. 30 episodes aired total. TV Guide later named it the 20th worst show of all time. The Monroes, ABC.
Best we take a look at it now, though, while we rest the stock.
In 1966, the American Western was finally dying. Bonanza was still a top 5 show, but everywhere else the genre was hemorrhaging viewers. The new shows had begun aiming younger. ABC's solution was The Monroes. The Monroes premiered on ABC on September 7, 1966, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. The premise? 5 orphaned siblings aged 6 to 18 try to survive on the 1870s Wyoming frontier near what is today Grand Teton National Park. The episode One Accident kills the parents and leaves the kids alone in the wilderness. 24-year-old Michael Anderson Jr. played eldest brother Clayt. 18-year-old Barbara Hershey in her television debut played eldest sister Kathy. 13-year-old twins Keith and Kevin Schultz played Jefferson, Big Twin, and Fenimore, Little Twin. 6-year-old Tammy Locke played youngest sister Amy. The show shot entirely on location in Wyoming with sweeping cinematography of the Tetons. Theme song by David Rose, who would later compose the music for Little House on the Prairie. Guest stars across the season included James Brolin in his very first TV appearances, Jeffrey Hunter, who had just played Captain Pike in the original Star Trek pilot, and a young Richard Keel 6 years before he became Jaws in The Spy Who Loved Me. 26 episodes aired. The location budget was unstable. ABC canceled it in April 1967. Barbara Hershey went on to win Cannes Best Actress and earn an Oscar nomination. Nobody remembers the Monroes. The Man Who Never Was, ABC.
The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord.
In 1956, the British made a film called The Man Who Never Was, based on the true story of a corpse the Allies dressed in a uniform and let wash ashore in Spain during World War II with fake invasion plans to fool the Nazis. Brilliant film. In 1966, ABC made a TV show with the same title that had absolutely nothing to do with any of that. The Man Who Never Was premiered on ABC on September 7, 1966, Wednesdays at 9 p.m. The premise? Robert Lansing plays Peter Murphy, an American intelligence agent on the run from the KGB in Europe. While being chased through East Berlin one night, Murphy spots his exact physical double, wealthy playboy Mark Wainwright, stumbling out of the bar. Murphy stands there in shock long enough for the KGB to kill Wainwright by mistake. Murphy then assumes Wainwright's identity. Wainwright's widow Eva, played by Dana Winter, immediately realizes Murphy is not her husband, but lets him keep the charade going because she's lonely and the money is good. They fall in love. Espionage ensues. Robert Lansing was a known commodity. He had starred in 12 O'Clock High, which ABC had canceled the previous spring. ABC gave him this show as a consolation prize. Episodes shot on location in Berlin, Munich, and Rome. 17 episodes aired. ABC pulled the plug January 4, 1967. Okay, we are at the halfway mark. Drop a comment with one of these you actually remember. If you're enjoying this 1966 graveyard tour, smash that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next deep dive. Coming up in the back half, a future macho movie superstar in his very first lead role, an Irwin Allen sci-fi cult classic, and the 2 future kung fu legends I promised. One of them is the lowest rated show of the entire 1966-67 season. The Tammy Grimes Show, ABC.
Hello, Uncle Simon. I'll be right in to pick up the check.
In 1963, ABC offered Tammy Grimes the lead role in a new sitcom about a suburban witch. Grimes had just won the Tony Award for the unsinkable Molly Brown. She read the script for the new sitcom, decided the special effects work would be too much hassle, and turned it down. The show was called Bewitched. The role went to Elizabeth Montgomery. Bewitched ran 8 seasons and 254 episodes. 3 years later, in 1966, an advertising executive convinced ABC and General Foods to build a new sitcom around Grimes anyway. The result was The Tammy Grimes Show. The show premiered on ABC on September 8, 1966, Thursdays at 8:30 p.m. Grimes played Tamantha Tammy Ward, a wacky heiress whose Uncle Simon controlled her trust fund. Her uptight twin brother Terrence was played by Dick Sargent, billed as Richard Sargent. The pilot was written by George Axelrod, who had adapted Breakfast at Tiffany's. Executive producer was William Dozier, the same man who had launched Batman the previous January and was about to launch the Green Hornet 2 days later. The pedigree was elite. The show was an organized disaster. Critics savaged it. ABC scheduled it directly opposite the premiere of Star Trek on NBC. The Tammy Grimes Show aired 4 episodes. ABC pulled it after September 29, 1966, before the first Nielsen ratings of the season had ever been released. 6 completed episodes were never broadcast. 9 more scripts were never filmed. The kicker, Dick Sargent, who played Tammy's twin brother, had been the original first choice to play Darren on Bewitched in 1963. His contract on the Tammy Grimes Show is the reason ABC had to cast Dick York instead. 3 years later, in 1969, Sargent finally replaced York on Bewitched. The full cosmic loop closed. Hawk, ABC.
So Samson, let's take a look at your delight.
Before Burt Reynolds was the biggest box office star in America in the late 1970s, before Smokey and the Bandit, before Deliverance, before The Longest Yard, before The Mustache, there was Hawk. Hawk premiered on ABC on September 8, 1966, Thursday nights at 10 p.m. The premise? Burt Reynolds plays Lieutenant John Hawk, a full-blooded Iroquois NYPD detective who works the night shift out of the district attorney's office. His partner Dan Carter, played by Wayne Grice, is African-American. The pair handles murder, organized crime, and arson on the gritty streets of New York City, with Hawk facing prejudice from both public and the brass. The show was filmed entirely on location in Manhattan in color. Created by Alan Sloan, Reynolds had spent the previous 2 years as Quint Asper on Gunsmoke. This was his first lead role. ABC scheduled it opposite the Dean Martin Show on NBC and the CBS Thursday Night Movie. 17 episodes aired. ABC pulled the plug December 29, 1966. Burt Reynolds then spent 6 years bouncing through guest spots and B-movies before Deliverance hit in 1972 and turned him into a movie star. The Green Hornet, ABC. In January 1966, ABC launched Batman, a campy, live-action superhero hit that became a global pop culture phenomenon. By summer, ABC asked executive producer William Dozier to do it again. Dozier picked The Green Hornet. The Green Hornet premiered on ABC on September 9, 1966, Friday nights. The premise, Van Williams plays Playboy newspaper publisher Britt Reed, who by night becomes the masked vigilante Green Hornet. Reed pretends to be a criminal in order to infiltrate and bust real criminal gangs. His partner Kato is his Asian valet, weapons specialist, and martial arts master, played by a 25-year-old Bruce Lee in his first major American TV role. Lee's two-finger punch became legend. The theme song was Rimsky-Korsakov's Flight of the Bumblebee, rearranged into jazz with a trumpet solo by Al Hirt. 26 episodes aired. The original order was 30. ABC pulled the plug March 17, 1967, with each episode losing $40,000. Bruce Lee returned to Hong Kong, made The Big Boss in 1971, became the biggest martial arts star in world history, and died July 1973 at age 32. The Time Tunnel, ABC.
Why not just go out there?
You'd see nothing. You're in the present. That's taking place 10 years ago.
By 1966, producer Irwin Allen had already launched 2 hit science fiction shows on ABC. Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea premiered in 1964 and was about to start its 3rd season. Lost in Space premiered in 1965 and was a phenomenon. Allen swung for a 3rd hit with A Time Tunnel. The Time Tunnel premiered on ABC on September 9, 1966, Friday nights at 8:30 p.m. The premise? Deep underground in the Arizona desert, the U.S. government has built Project TikTok, a top-secret 800-floor facility housing the world's first time machine. James Darren and Robert Colbert play 2 scientists who accidentally activate the tunnel and end up bouncing uncontrollably through history. They land at the sinking of the Titanic, at Pearl Harbor, at the Alamo. Every week, a different historical disaster. The special effects budget was enormous. The show recycled stock footage from Fox movies to keep costs down. 30 episodes aired. ABC pulled the plug April 7, 1967. Cult classic ever since. Shane, ABC. The lowest rated canceled show of the 1966 to 67 season was an attempt to turn the most celebrated Westvale of the 1950s into a weekly TV series with predictable results. Shane premiered on ABC on September 10, 1966, Saturday nights at 7:30 p.m. The show was based on Jack Schaefer's 1949 novel and the legendary 1953 George Stevens film starring Alan Ladd. David Carradine, then 29, played the mysterious gunslinger Shane. Jill Ireland played Marion Starrett, the widowed homesteader Shane hires on with. Christopher Shea played her son Joey. The villain Ruff Riker was played by Bert Freed. ABC scheduled the show Saturday nights opposite CBS's Jackie Gleason show, a top 30 variety hit, and NBC's Flipper, another top 30 hit. The audience picked Gleason and the Dolphin. 17 episodes aired. The show ended December 31, 1966. ABC moved on. David Carradine then spent 6 years bouncing through guest spots before ABC, in a beautiful coincidence, gave him the lead in a new show in 1972. That show was Kung Fu. The full Kung Fu circle closed. 10 shows, 8 from ABC. The 1966 to 67 season was a graveyard for the network that had bet the house and lost in almost every property. 2 future Kung Fu legends launched and crashed in the same fall. Both of them came back to dominate 1970s pop culture. The shows themselves disappeared. Until next time, this is Curtain Cut.